Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday, June 7, 2021, Board of Public Works and Safety. Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Yes. Eaglin? Here. Courtney?
Here.
Carlo?
Here.
Okay. Board, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from May 17th, 2021?
I make a motion we approve the minutes of that meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Any additional discussion or conversation on the minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay, we have one adjustment, so I'd ask Brian to come up for that.
We have Miss Dean here from North Quail Drive, that she'll come up and give you a brief overview of what happened at the site.
Good morning.
She's a little nervous, so.
I am.
Don't be nervous. How are you today?
I'm nervous.
We'll make your day better here in a minute.
We had a leak. Didn't realize that's what it was, of course, at first. And we called the landlord and they came. Took a little while for them to figure out what was wrong, but it was a broken line between the house and the meter. But it has been taken care of since, and now I'm here to see
For the adjustment.
So the adjustment is in the amount of $1,104.06.
Yes.
And sometimes it can be a Rubik's Cube to figure out why your water bill's so high.
Well, it wasn't quite that high the first time.
Yeah. And Ms. Dean, just to let you know, first of all, thank you for being here. And our policy is for water adjustments over $1,000, come before Board of Public Works and Safety for adjustments. So this is really perfunctory, so thank you for being here this morning. Brian, you guys evaluated
Yeah,
this.
it's good to go.
Okay. I'll move that we approve the adjustment located at 3265 North Quail Drive in the amount of $1,104.06 per recommendation of our water superintendent.
Mayor, I'll second that motion.
Any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, new business. Brian, stay there because we have and I know that Rob is with you. Rob, welcome.
Yeah, I've got Rob here if we have any additional questions after I kind of give an overview of the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Loan Program application. If you guys are, it's from the Indiana Finance Authority. They rank applicants for funding through their state revolving loan program, and they list those anticipated projects, the expected loan closings in the future on their project priority list, the PPL. This list is utilized by the state to solicit funding for these projects from the US EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Indiana state fiscal year begins on July 1st and runs through June 30th of the following year. The state will submit what is referred as their intended use plan, inclusive of the PPL, to the EPA on July 1st in support of their application to fund the SRF program for the upcoming fiscal year. At the end of May, we submitted, the city of Madison did, our interest survey indicating a desire to receive grant funds through the state's Water Infrastructure Fund, the SWIFT grant program, to get free monies if they are available from the SRF. For the city to be better positioned to gain access to these funds, it's recommended that we go ahead and get our SRF funding application submitted before the end of this month. This will get us in on the queue and on the SRF's radar so we can hopefully get on the PPL prior to the July 1st deadline. Just a note, submission of the SRF application doesn't commit nor does it cost the city anything at this time. We're merely looking to make sure we have a seat at the table, so to speak, when it comes time for the SRF to start handing out these SWIFT funds, these grants that they're going to be giving away.
Brian, we have utilized SRF in prior financings for our utility work.
Yes, for both water and sewer, yes.
When was the last time that we applied for SRF funding for our drinking water?
For water, 2008.
2008, okay, so we're long overdue for
Yes.
to fund infrastructure improvements for drinking water.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, like I said, this application, it's estimates on here, once we present it for bid, whatever that comes in, it'll come in at. And so everything's estimate. They just want us application submitted. So once we submit it, we get on that list.
Okay. Okay.
It's my understanding that every tank that was inspected last year in fall, and everything needs some kind of maintenance.
Yes, nothing has been done in about 20 years on any of the things. They need repainted, they need everything inside. What it's in the report, but yes.
So this is part of the funding for the tank?
Yeah, well, it will be, yeah. This is just an application so that we can get the funding to do those things. It's just one of the first steps in many.
Thank you.
And
I know this is a year-long process. Well, you've already been working on it for quite a few months, but it's a year-long process in order to get everything in place. So we have to begin down. You've outlined the deadlines, the importance, the critical dates for getting this form submitted. Anything else to add? Board, any questions for Brian?
do they need to vote and approve on it, Joe, or?
I was gonna make a motion that we approve the drinking water state revolving fund application presented to the board today from Brian.
I'll second Mayor's motion.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks,
Thanks.
Brian. Right. Now let's move to really fun stuff, which are street closures because of all the events going on. So first one up is street closure for Broadway School reunion.
This is resolution number 36-2021, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding the closing of a certain portion of Broadway Street for Broadway School reunion. Whereas there's been a request filed by Floyd L. Gibson Sr. for a street closing in conjunction with Broadway School reunion to be held on Saturday, September 18, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Broadway Street from the alley north of Presbyterian Avenue to 5th Street shall be closed on Saturday, September 18, 2021 from 12 p.m. until 10 p.m. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets as closed shall be under the supervision and control of Floyd L. Gibson Sr. at the times noted above for the year 2021.
Perfect. I'd like to invite Mr. Gibson up to the podium, please, or whoever's representing Broadway School reunion.
I think I'll do it.
How you doing?
Hey.
Welcome back, I should say.
Yeah.
Last year was a little bit of a disruption, but we're happy to see this come back online too.
Yeah. Good to be here. I'm kind of scared, but I guess we can do it. Yeah. Just scared of that. We'll get some people down there for protection.
Yeah. So maybe elaborate. Are you scared? Are you afraid of a safety perspective, or are you talking about a health perspective?
Safety first and then health.
Okay. But do you want to elaborate? I mean, Chief's here. We can certainly make sure that it's a safe event, but I mean.
Well, there's usually only one person that I have a problem with, but since it's this year,
Okay.
And
Well, maybe I'd ask you to follow up with Chief Wallace and make sure that all safety protocols will be taken to ensure all of your guests and anybody who's visiting the community can feel safe there. I've attended it myself several years and never
Yeah.
felt anything other than good vibes,
Yeah.
Particularly when you're up there singing.
yeah.
So,
I got like it.
but we'll assure you that it will be a safe event and
Yeah.
there will be adequate protection from the community and from Madison Police Department for
Yeah,
that.
the reason I was saying that because of 2020 and what's going on now in the world, but I just want to keep everything in. I got one problem, but it only happens when I'm up there singing. This problem, the boys, I'll talk to him about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it all up.
Okay,
So,
give you Chief Wallace's card there. And any other arrangements you need through the Parks Department for equipment, barricades, those kinds of things, I think you've already
Yeah.
filed and reserved the date, and that type of, those different apparatuses and stuff will be available for you too.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Floyd, before we move on?
No, but what Floyd is saying, there's one particular individual that roams the crowd and he harasses some of the ladies in the crowd.
Okay, all right. Well, let's coordinate that with Chief. We'll be on the lookout for that and make sure that there isn't any harassment going on this year.
John, he does it mostly when I get up on stage. And he knows I can't get off the stage. Or I can, but I will probably.
Okay.
But that's every year now, he's been that.
Well, let me say, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic event.
It is.
It really is a fantastic event.
And other than that, it's just great every year. It got bigger. That year was 2019, it was really big.
2019 was awesome.
yeah, it was really big.
Unforgettable.
Then this happens, and then, well, we'll see if we can get some good people here this time. You know, I don't know.
We'll do everything we can to make sure it's another successful year for you.
I hope so. Yeah.
Board, any questions for Floyd while he's here?
Good luck on your event.
Okay, I'll move that we approve resolution 36-2021.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
The next one is resolution number 37-2021, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding a street closing for the historic Broadway Hotel and Tavern's block party. Whereas there's been a request filed by Gail Freeman on behalf of the historic Broadway Hotel and Tavern for a street closing in connection with their block party to be held on Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Broadway Street running south from Main Street to the north side of 2nd Street shall be closed from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said street as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the historic Broadway Hotel and Tavern at the time of
Yeah, you want to come up and represent the Broadway Hotel and Tavern for this street closure request? Should say welcome back to you too.
Thank you. Just same thing we've done over the last 7 years, just close off that one side. We'll have a wagon outside with music, beer wagon out there, and inflatables for kids.
Great party. Any questions for Gail?
Basically, the same
Same.
footprint that you did before and all that, everything's always real good that day. With that, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 37.
I'll second that motion.
Or any additional discussion? Be a great event. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is resolution number 38-2021, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding a street closing for the Madison Riverfront Development Corporation. Whereas there's been a request filed by J.D. Webster on behalf of the Madison Riverfront Development Corporation for a street closing in connection with its wine, Stein, and barrel event to be held on Saturday, June 19, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Pond Drive between the west side of West Street and the east side of Poplar Street shall be closed on Saturday, June 19, 2021, from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said street as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Madison Riverfront Development Corporation at the times noted above for the year 2021.
Perfect. JD, you're here to represent the Riverfront Development Corporation. Thank you for all the work you do on that committee. And describe wine, Stein, and barrel.
Wine, Stein and Barrel is our annual, well, one of our 2 annual fundraisers, but this one has blown up. We're going from probably 400 attendees to 650 at the least. Our conversation, Mr. Mayor and myself, that we had, we kind of came up with this idea that we might want to protect the safety of our guests, protect the safety of folks that are wandering around as well, and put in a request for a street closure. So, again, we're expecting 650 to 700 that evening, and I just think it would make me feel more comfortable, I know, and I know the community more comfortable, and also provide parking as well for all of our guests. And we might stretch that out to Broadway, because it's only like a half a block, versus having people, avoid the little turnaround that happens sometimes.
And will there be someone manning the barricades that are there?
There will
They
be if
are
it's
coming
approved,
to the event,
correct.
or are you giving parking passes or anything like that, so they'll know that they're there to attend the event?
Yes and yes, assuming that this is passed.
So you want to move Poplar Street to say Broadway?
I'm
East side of Broadway?
asking your opinion on that, because you're only talking about a half a block. I know we put in the request to not go all the way to Broadway, but again, that's just that one half
Yeah.
block.
My concern about extending it west is the parking for the lighthouse. Because there's still parking for
Very
that. So if
true.
we could keep that same footprint and just try to manage that, I think that would be better. Board, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a business, you hate to shut off access
Well,
to the restaurant.
Yeah.
Very
And
good
then,
point.
yeah, they'll come up through there, they do trash removal up there on that, in that dumpster there at the corner there, bottom of Poplar too. So if we could leave that the same, JD, I think that might work better, and it could, again, give them a space for their parking. Okay. Any other questions for this applicant? I'll move that we approve resolution 38-2021.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Board, any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Hey, it's gonna be a great event. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to it.
Hope to
Thank
see
you.
everybody June
Thanks again
19th.
for bringing it back online.
Thank you.
See you. Okay, let's move into, PACE program, midpoint application. Looks like we have one extension and one midpoint, or several extensions and one midpoint.
Okay, our midpoint request is for Buddydale LLC and Crafty 83 LLC at 2042 Wilson Avenue. You'll see some befores and during construction. They've completely redone most of that structure, put in windows. They've got a little bit of work left on it. So they're asking for a midpoint check of $12,500.
This was one of our dilapidated structures. That's Mr. Cream's old house on Wilson Avenue. Glad to see that getting a new life. Board, any questions for Nicole on this? You would recommend approving this?
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the midpoint for the 2042 Wilson Avenue project.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Now we have several extensions, Nicole.
The first extension is for Derek Hughes at 411 Jefferson Street. To complete her project, she's asking for an additional 2 months, giving her new deadline of July 12th, 2021.
See a reason why she needs to extend.
She's had some issues with her contractor and she's having to switch to a new contractor.
Is this a completion date or is this a start date?
It is for a completion date.
It is completion date, okay. We have any images for these three extensions?
No, I
Okay.
don't.
Okay. All right, keep going.
The next extension is for Marcus Gray at 928 Park Avenue, for an additional 2-month extension on his completion date, for the same deadline of, July 12th, 2021. He had a lot of work at that property and, just the weather has slowed him down, but he said it will be done by then.
Okay.
And the last one is for Eric Dodge at 518 Jefferson Street, also for 2 months, for the completion deadline of July 18th, 2021. They ran into some construction issues with their contractor, and getting back on their docket has been a struggle.
Try to visualize that property. It's not at the corner, is it?
It is not at the corner. I believe it's the next one in.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Is that 2 months?
Yes, 2 months. They're all 2 months.
Okay.
While we're talking about Jefferson Street, because we get off the topic just a little bit, we had the fire down there, like 512.
Mm-hmm.
Are they working on that? I saw some plywood in the windows.
I'm not sure.
Sure. I saw, like I said, some plywood in the windows, but I didn't see much activity.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume they would work on it, but I've not been in touch with that owner.
Okay.
Do you know what the dollar amounts are for each of these PACE grants?
I don't know them off the top of my head. I know that Eric Dodge and Derek Hughes both have regular rehab grants. I believe they're for the maximum amount of $7,500. All three of these have received partial payments, and then Marcus Gray's is a dilapidated structure, but I don't believe it's for that full amount. It's for a partial of that.
Okay. Can we add that to this form?
Yes.
The extension request, please, thank you. Anyway, great to see all the work being done. I'll make a motion that we approve extensions for each of 411 Jefferson Street, 928 Park Street, Park Avenue, 518 Jefferson Street, as presented by Nicole.
Second motion.
Any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
Nicole. Next up, Joe.
Yeah, what we have next is, it's a property at, it's basically it's 1708 Cragmont Street. It was the dialysis center. Prior to that, it was a beverage storage location, and it's being sold, and it's come to our attention that a portion of that building, pursuant to a survey that was done, overlaps the city right of way. And I think you can see on the attachment there that's highlighted, it's a very small portion. We've talked with Brian, and there are no city utilities in that right of way or anything. And, I mean, you would have no idea, I think, that it's in the right of way without the survey being done. And so the process for vacating a right of way or vacating a street or vacating an alley is all essentially the same. They come just before the Board of Public Works to get a thumbs up to proceed on, and then notice will go out to all of the adjacent property owners, and there will be a public hearing and a determination held at a council meeting later on down the road. I think it's the goal, because of the pending sale, that this be done for the council meeting on June the 22nd, but that would depend on getting the notice of the paper, et cetera. So they're just here to come before this board to get basically an okay to move forward.
And our sewer line that is there in the right of way is toward the east side of that right of way. So we did confirm that there are no utilities that this building is encroaching over. And then board, included in your material is the actual petition to common council. So you'll see what will be presented to common council on the June 22nd meeting, along with the survey and the legal description for the alley vacation. And as Joe mentioned, it's a statutory requirement that John, welcome, I should say. That it's a statutory requirement. We follow this process with regard to vacation. So appreciate your patience on navigating through it.
I appreciate your help.
Any additional thing you want to add for the board?
Bill, do you have?
No, not really. I mean,
Bill, welcome to you as well.
Yeah. We're just looking to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's here and do it right. So,
right.
If you tell us what to do, and that's what we'll do.
Well, I think we're very well organized about it now. Your appearance here today is the first step in that process. It is it's a one meeting type approval at the next council meeting, so it's not like an ordinance where it has to be read in over several different meetings. But we'll follow that process. And are there any other questions for Bill or
question for
John?
Joe? Even though our sewer line is not in the right of way, would we still retain permission to access that right of way if there was work to be done on that sewer line?
No.
Just clarification, our sewer line is in the right of way, but it's on the east side of the right of way, which we still control. So all we would be vacating is that portion of the right of way that's under the building.
Yeah, so as you can see from the map here, there's just, I don't see it.
What's it about,
So it's
John, maybe
under-
7 or 8 feet?
Right now, the portion, the building is on the portion of right of way, so you couldn't
Okay.
access it now without tearing the building down
Okay.
anyway.
So it's under the building?
It's under the building,
Okay.
yes, and we're only, and they're, not we.
The easement's under the building, not the sewer line.
That's
No,
right.
the
Sewer
right of
line,
way,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Or the-
The sewer line is between the road and the building,
Okay.
okay? And they are only requesting the portion of that the building sits on. Because that's
Makes
what the
sense.
legal
It's about
description
7
is.
feet-ish,
Yeah.
length of the building.
Okay.
I think it's 0.02 acres.
Right.
You don't,
Total area.
you don't by chance have the original building permit or anything from way back when? Cause that would have to have some city signatures on it.
No, I don't, we do not, Carl.
Carl,
You were just a little boy back then, bro.
I know.
It appears that the right-of-way was added after the street was built. The street is actually in the east part of the right-of-way.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, if I had laid the building out, I would have gone from the center of the street, assuming it was in the center of the right-of-way. It's easy to see how it happened, but we just need to go from here now.
Yes, makes sense.
Well, you did the right thing, like I said, anyway, by finding out that the lines and the sewer lines are still where we can, maintain, those things, I mean,
A lot of the stuff is not uncommon throughout the city.
Yes, that's true, that's true.
so I'll make a motion that we accept the petition, to vacate the alley.
Okay, and make a favorable recommendation to common council?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion and.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Board, any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
John.
very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Scott.
Claims?
Mayor, I had an opportunity to review the claims, and I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
Second Davis.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay, I'd like to ask Deputy Mayor McGee maybe to give us an update on some infrastructure matters.
Good morning, Board. Just want to keep you in the loop a little bit about the Main Street rejuvenation project. There, in the year since we made that application for those funds, there's been serious deterioration on the road, especially going up Hanover Hill. We've already had to restrict truck travel to the center lane because the right lane going up the hill is quite bad and rutted. So we've been working with our engineers. Originally, we were just gonna do a rejuvenation product on the road surface, which didn't include a lot of patching or pavement, and just to kind of keep the road surface drivable and safe until we can do the bigger project in a few years. But because of the deterioration, we're not sure which product will actually be the best to use on that, and there is some patching that's going to happen. So our engineers have gone back to NDOT. Typically, we cannot make changes to the CCMG applications or what the use of funds are for those. But our engineering firm has worked with NDOT, and they have agreed to allow us to make some modifications to it. So we're in the process of figuring out what those will be. The suggested changes that I've seen so far include adding about $400,000 worth of patching. So there were, when they went through the entire stretch of road, they marked about 200 that needed to be done. I don't know that we'll be able to do all of those, but we're gonna try and get as much good work done before we put the surface on top that we can. So we have a meeting next week with our engineers to go through it all, prioritize what we can do with the funds, and then we will get Sedan working on the project. So just wanted to give you an update on that. Happy to take any questions, and then of course I'll let you know when we get it scheduled and when they will begin the work.
How many areas did our contractors identify that need repaired along the stretch of road?
Almost 200.
200, okay, wow.
Is that the complete?
That's from Jefferson Street to the
Jefferson
top of
to
the
top
hill.
of the hill?
And that's just to correct the road for this extender product that we're having. Remember, we've already received a $5 million federal highway grant. We get that in state's 2026 year, which would be our summer 2025. So our goal here was to try to make some level of improvement to extend the useful life on that 4.5 miles, 4.4 miles of road to get us to a major overhaul of mill and asphalt on the project.
We've also, with this change, would add some more crack and seal, because this product doesn't give you any road service. It makes it look pretty,
Just
but it's
extends
only
what's
going
there.
to, it's only gonna go over what is already there, so, we just wanna make it look a little better and more structurally sound before we do it.
And we will get new striping from
We'll
this
have
as
all
well.
new striping, yes.
So that's an improvement, because a lot of our crosswalks, the striping on crosswalks are faded. So that's an important add here for crosswalk safety. You mentioned Sedan, thought we awarded.
I'm so
that-
sorry if I said Sedan, I apologize, it's Omera.
Omer, okay, good, I wanted to clarify that.
Thank
It
you.
was to the company that we awarded the bid to.
Yes.
Okay. It's a good update. Mindy, anything else on Main Street or other?
I don't believe so.
Mindy, how's the bridge approach working? Seems like they've been a little slow on getting the street. I mean, I know the weather hasn't been great the last couple of weeks, but getting the street markings painted. And,
Right,
I mean, I personally, I expected them to be.
Well, they had to wait
Done.
until the new asphalt cured in order to do the new striping, because it's not a painted striping, it's some special material that adheres to the road, so they had to wait
Thermoplastic.
several weeks. What's it called?
Thermoplastic.
Thermoplastic. So they had to wait until that road cured in order to put it down there. If you're heading east, you'll see the new markings. So earlier, if you remember, we had confusion over some of the signage that they had placed, because we couldn't really follow why the pattern of the road would follow how the signs were posted. But now you can see that there's turn lanes on some part of it, and then there's also lane shifts from left to right on part of it. But at least now the preliminary striping is in there, and you'll be able to see exactly what the road pattern's gonna be. So it may seem like it's taken a long time, but part of that is a weather, but also the curing of the new asphalt.
I noticed some work going on last Friday, but I purposely stayed away from it. You know, I didn't want to get into traffic because they were lined up clear back to Jefferson Street, so.
We'll tell you that we just got in today new flagpole brackets, flagpoles, and we're still waiting on the flags, but we'll be putting flags on the light poles on that bridge approach, which I think will look great, and replacing the flags on Main Street with larger ones.
On the south side,
Awesome.
where Main Street ends and then Park Avenue, Zerion Street starts. There's a sidewalk here that goes about 50 feet to nowhere. Is there plans to, in the future, bring a sidewalk on down, tie it in with the sidewalk at 2nd Street?
You're talking about the corner as you come around the corner?
Yeah, have you
How
seen
about
that?
the sidewalk that goes to Brian Martin's house and then stops?
Yeah, it stops.
We're all just supposed to go to Brian's house.
Oh, is that right? Okay. I mean, several people say, well, why don't we go ahead and bring it on down, tie it into the new walk to 2nd Street, and with the walk across the bridge right there.
Would have made sense to me to do it with the rest of this project. I'm not sure why it wasn't included, but we are looking at options for.
We talked to Doc probably a year ago about that matter, and they did not include it in the original design of the plans. The actual pedestrian path follows the route of the old trucks that with the going down Baltimore and over to 2nd and then over to Harrison. That's the path they wanted pedestrians to take, rather than the logical thing, which would be right there, particularly as you pick up the trail that takes you to the pedestrian sidewalk access onto the bridge. So Nicole, I don't know if she has anything to add, but it was not in the original plans. I think they had initially identified some potential ADA issues associated with that path. They've come back and said if we wanted to put new sidewalks in, we could, so at our cost. So right now, there's no plans to do anything different than what was in the original. We just want to get that project done get them off-site, and then we can focus on how we're gonna improve, mobility, pedestrian mobility, or multimodal forms of mobility across our community, and we can factor that in, but right now there are no plans to extend that sidewalk.
Well, I went up there, and you see where people are actually walking down that way. You see the footprints.
There's signage that's supposed to lead them down the other path, but you think the sidewalk will take you logically over there, but it just doesn't. But they'll figure out pretty quick that they're walking in the street.
Or in
It's
the grass.
unsafe.
Yeah, in the
You
grass.
see where it might be a safety issue, adding that sidewalk that close to the road,
It's not that
the
close.
speed of the traffic, so.
A lot of things I'm sure went into their analysis when they decided not to put that sidewalk there.
Yeah, that's all I have. I'm done.
Anything else, Minnie?
Nope.
Any other questions for me? Chief?
Thank you.
Thank you, Minnie.
Afternoon, board. Check my watch before I came up, so I felt safe to say that. On the 25th, the traffic committee met. I met with them as well. A couple of suggestions that we'd like to take action on. The first is on our screen, and a big thanks to Nicole. I've actually joined her league now with photos, but I couldn't do it without her.
Oh, here we go.
So we're looking at 4th and Jefferson. We're looking north. The board would like to extend that yellow line, or the committee would like to extend that yellow line another parking space, which would be about 20 feet to the south, to enable motorists when they're pulling off the 300 block of East 4th out onto Jefferson to get a better view of to the south of northbound traffic. That photo was taken today. The first one, obviously, I'm standing on the sidewalk on Jefferson, but the second one, I actually am on 4th Street looking south, and as you can see with that truck legally parked, it does hinder your view. And by that point, a lot of times if they hit the green light, right, you're getting some speeds of 30 to 35 mile an hour, which would create a serious accident. The side impact should somebody pull out in front of a northbound vehicle. So the board or the committee recommended I bring this before the board, and you take a look at it and give your blessings if you felt the same as well. That parking space is in front of the Jefferson house. We hate to lose that, but I think it is imperative that we extend that yellow line at least another parking space, which is about 20 feet. I can speak with Tony on that, but to the south, so we can enable a better view south.
Chief, I'm in favor of this. I know that we talked with NDOT, and that was one of their recommendations as well. Did the traffic committee look at the west side of that same intersection for people going south? If we have the same visibility obstruction on the other side of the street, it doesn't look like it would be the same problem if you're heading west but turning right. That wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
But if you're heading east and turning left, that doesn't seem like that would, or that may or may not be a problem. But did you look at the other corners to see if we need to just make it uniform so that it's not different per corner?
It seems like the angle's a little different. We'll review that and bring that recommendation back. But very good point to see if that does need to be done. However, I know this is, it's just totally blind right there with that truck. Like I said, property.
It's that left view. So if you're heading
It's
east
that
or
left view,
west,
yeah.
it's that left view.
Yeah.
Well, many times I've had to pull out into the intersection.
You do have to edge
It
out
become
there.
a targeted hazard for anybody coming that way.
When you edge out there, then your nose is
Yeah.
already out of the lane, and it's just not a good,
not a
good
good
situation there. So that is certainly a safety issue that I think can not be totally remedied, but very much improved by eliminating that parking spot there and extending that yellow line to 20 feet.
I'm in favor of this, so if it requires a motion, I'll make it. Move that we accept Chief Wallace's recommendations to extend the no parking area by 20 feet on the southeast corner of Jefferson and 4th Street. And Chief indicated he would be viewing the other corner on the opposite side, which I guess would be the northwest or southwest corner.
Right.
That's my motion.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Okay. Any additional discussion, board? That's a really ugly corner. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Then one other issue that we dealt with, we wanted to bring before the board was at first in Cragmont, which is behind the old tack factory. As you can see, the new sidewalks were put in. There is no yellow lines on the sidewalks at this point. We felt that we needed to obviously place the yellow lines there to coincide with the rest of the intersection. That particular area does not have it, which enables people who reside there to almost, park essentially almost in the intersection. That's a little bump out there. Does create somewhat of a visual and traffic issue. So it was recommended by the committee to yellow stripe those corners as well, which I think would be standard with the other three corners of the intersection. So we would just like to have your blessing on that as well.
I've also noticed in that area, since the apartments are occupied now, that several people will be heading west and parking on the south side of the street. Maybe a sign or something to.
That's an area which we'll continue to work on through the committee, but we felt this would enhance some safety issues and congestion in that area with people parking all the way to the edge of the intersection. I'll get with Tony on that. I know there's a standard length of yellow lines.
There's a design manual that they go with that. It'll be very similar to what we just talked about on Jefferson Street.
So those are the two recommendations by the committee, which I agree with as well, and just like to have the board's blessing on those.
Okay, I move that we approve Chief Wallace's recommendations for yellow no parking painting at the corner of Cragmont and First Street as presented.
Second the mayor's motion.
Any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Chief, while we're on talking about yellow lines, there's one that, in fact, I wanted to mention to somebody after the meeting, but I'll go ahead and mention it during the meeting. When you're heading south on West Street here to Vaughn Drive, and you come to the intersection of Vaughn Drive and West Street, if you're going to turn left and go east, if there's vehicles parked on the south side of Vaughn Drive headed east, I feel like the yellow line needs to be extended about another 15 feet or so. If the vehicle parked on the south side of Vaughn Drive is backed up all the way to the yellow line, and a car going south on West Street wants to turn left, if the person on Vaughn Drive is fully up to the intersection, it makes it a real tight turn there.
Okay.
And
Particularly if someone else is at that stop sign.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
literally going in between the cars there? Okay.
And
Okay.
I think if we extended the yellow line maybe another 15 feet to the east, that might help rectify that problem. It kind of makes it a tight turn,
Right.
especially for a larger vehicle, a larger SUV or the size of pickup trucks nowadays.
Well, that intersection is certainly.
And it's a tight intersection
Yeah,
there.
it's definitely more active now, especially with the improvements to our park right there. So I mean, there are a lot of pedestrians, especially children in that area. That is a highly traveled area, and the top of our boat ramp, which creates that much more during the summer months. So
Yeah.
we'll certainly go down and take a look at it and.
Could you report back at the next meeting? So is that okay?
Yeah,
Board
yeah,
member
that's fine.
Carlo, you
Yes.
investigate that, because there could be some safety benefits as well
Sure.
for vehicles with boats leaving the boat ramp
Yes.
up there as well.
And I'll get hold of Councilman Tavern, who I believe heads our traffic committee, just to keep him in the loop of that recommendation, and get their input, bring it back to the next board meeting.
And if I could, I'd speak to you after the meeting.
Sure.
Okay.
And Nicole, thank you again. Joined the high-tech world now.
Chief, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. I just have a couple things to mention that we did close on our acquisition of the Madison property. There were 8 parcels there on the riverfront that we were actually able to now bring into city ownership. They had not transferred deed probably in a century. So we're very grateful for having the opportunity to acquire those, and that will allow us to continue our development plans for the Riverfront. The other big thing that we're working on is the American Rescue Plan Act funding. So we're still sifting through hundreds of pages, frankly, of documentation from Treasury and the Congressional Record and other resources on how that money is going to be allocated, how much, and how and exactly for what it can be spent. It's going to play in nicely also with Governor Holcomb's next 2-year budget with the READY program for regional economic development initiative. So we're looking at all of those things to make sure we are properly leveraging up the dollars and spending them wisely, but doing it also in a comprehensive way that works with the other municipalities in Jefferson County, as well as the 5-county region that we're a member of. So lots more to come on that, but eventually we will be bringing that through to City Council for appropriation. We've already have on City Council agenda the creation by ordinance, the fund in which those monies will be deposited. I might ask our clerk treasurer to talk about tomorrow night's City Council meeting, because we have, I think, a very interesting meeting tomorrow night, and recognizing one of our veterans in the community. I want to make the community aware of.
Yes, we're going to have it's the ninth annual John Menke Award, and we will be honoring a 98-year-old Battle of the Bulge veteran. I think he's the last one left from our county that was in that battle, and he was taken prisoner there. So he's going to be there with about 20 members of his family. His wife's going to be here. So very excited about that. Should be good, as it always is.
Always is.
Looking forward to it. And I know the Veterans Council is real excited about it. So anyway, be a good meeting. Come here, you can find a seat.
Come early, and clerk, thank you for always making arrangements for that. I think it's a fantastic thing to do in our community and recognize our veterans.
I saw Dan Menke at the Memorial Day service, and he and Paul are very excited too. So I think Paul, that's your sister-in-law, isn't it? So yeah, it'll be good. And I know the chief's got some pretty exciting things coming up for us tomorrow night too. So
We'll also be giving some community service recognition awards tomorrow night. Chief Wallace is doing that. We'll be swearing in two new police officers.
Correct.
So a full agenda with lots of positive things for the community tomorrow. City Council meeting, 5:30 here in these chambers. Board, anything else you need to add? Any public comment? Anybody in the community would like to address the Board of Public Works and Safety? Hearing none, our next meeting is Monday, June the 21st. I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, John.
Hey, John. John, just real quick.
Nicole, let's
I was behind
here.
John,
Oh,